Welcome to Suburban Warrior, the podcast that will impact, inspire, and empower you to transform your mindset and become the badass warrior that you are. I'm your host and fellow warrior, Crissy Piper, former clinician and corporate marketing exec turned multi-passionate entrepreneur, performance and life coach, and mom to 4 not-so-little warriors. Each week, I will bring you honest conversations with inspiring guests to share their stories of resilience, optimism, success, and simple yet effective strategies so that you transform your thoughts and change your behavior to get the results you want in your life. You will be empowered to take action, warrior up, and believe in you. Let's do this. Welcome back to the podcast, my fellow suburban warriors. I am really pumped about today's episode because as a 46-year-old working mom of 4, I am always on a health journey. Like many of you listening, I am always looking to learn about the newest holistic techniques, the right foods to eat, what new workouts are available and best for my body and all of those things. And today's guest is here to tell us about a natural healing modality that is available to us and our kids, CFT. It's craniosacral fascial therapy. The nurse in me is very excited for the science behind this, and the 46-year-old woman in me is just excited to hear about how it can drive results. So my guest today is Kim Sherlock. She lives and works in Westchester, Pennsylvania. She's a licensed massage and bodywork therapist. For over a decade, she has specialized in craniosacral fascial therapy, also known as CFT. She was personally trained by Dr. Barry Gillespie, the founder of CFT, to carry on his teaching. Kim treats newborns through adults with a wide variety of health issues. Often, she is the last stop for people who have been searching for help. Her work releases fascial tightness in the body and around the brain caused by trauma that can begin in utero and builds throughout life. She believes that CFT is often the missing piece for health and healing. Kim teaches CFT throughout the U.S. and internationally as a partner in the CFT Global CFT Global team. She teaches people of all backgrounds, from parents of brain-injured children to specialized therapists to medical professionals. CFT practitioners are being sought around the globe as more people discover this therapy. Kim is also trained in myofunctional therapy, which helps correct dysfunctional oral patterns, including mouth breathing, which may cause various health and aesthetic issues. As a part of CFT therapy sessions, Kim educates parents with innovative information for the optimal health for their children. She believes that if parents know this information when their children are infants, many health and dental issues can be avoided. Welcome to the podcast, Kim.
Thank you, Crissy. It's so exciting.
Thank you. I know. I'm so excited to have you here because I am really interested in learning more about CFT. I have read about it. I have heard a little bit about it in passing over probably like the last year. And so I'm really interested to learn more about this natural healing modality. So let's just start right there. Can you tell us what exactly is CFT?
Yes. So CFT is a modality. It was actually developed in the 70s by Dr. Barry Gillespie. He was a periodontist and he had a lot of his own health issues. And in his search for healing, he was introduced to some of the osteopaths in his community, and they told him that his headaches, his brain fog, his TMJ were a result of cranial restrictions, which he didn't quite understand what that meant. And he pursued their therapies and he started to bring it into his practice. And he started to help his patients heal from those issues by doing cranial sacral type of work. He later got involved with some of the doctors who were doing, or some of the PTs, I should say, who were doing myofascial release. And so long story short is, over the years, he combined these two therapies. And what craniosacral fascial therapy does is it recognizes that our body is enrobed in fascia. Okay, so we have fascia, which is connective tissue, head to toe. It is layers and layers deep. around every bone, organ, ligament, down to the cellular level in our mouth. And when this fascia becomes tight, it can affect different systems in the body, and it affects our function and our structure. So within that system of fascia lies the craniosacral system. Okay, so the craniosacral system is the brain, the spine, the sacrum, all of the structures around that help move cerebrospinal fluid, which is manufactured in the brain, down the spine and out into the fascia. That fluid helps us stay fluid. It helps nourish the body, and it helps detoxify the body. And what's really cool about this work that we do is we have a technique where we can feel the brain's expansion and contraction. We call that the brain motion. We time it, we qualify it, we call that the brain cycle, and we can determine how much tightness there is around that system. If that system's tight, there are most likely some type of symptoms involved in that. And our job as therapists is to go into the body, find the tightness, free up that tightness, and get that expansion and contraction of the brain moving and get the cerebrospinal fluid flowing. So we're working with the body on a global level, looking at everything as to how it ties into that craniosacral system, which is actually the craniosacral fascial system because it's all connected.
Wow. That's really,
I know it's a lot.
Yeah. It is, but it's a lot, but it's incredible because, so, you mentioned myofascial release, I mean, as a nurse, that's my background in nursing, and just, I know like a lot of physicians practice myofascial release. So, myofascial release has been around for a long time. Dry needling is part of myofascial release, and I literally do it to myself because I get migraines. And so like in my scapula, I literally have this thing that like digs in, and it's myofascial release. So, as you're talking, I'm just like imagining how this CFT therapy must feel so good. Cause I'm just imagining like this expansion and freeing of the, enabling the cerebral spinal fluid to like flow as it should.
Right.
So, how can you tell if someone has this like blockage, if someone needs the CFT therapy? Is there a way to tell, or is it just basically if they come in with symptoms and then it's trial and error?
Well, most people come to me with symptoms, but there are also those people who are just so interested in being the best version of themselves in health and wellness that, maybe they brought a kid in or something, and then they also want to have some sessions.
Okay.
Basically, anybody with a brain can use CFT.
I love that.
We've all experienced trauma, and it's trauma that tightens our tissue. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and just to be clear about trauma, because I know generally we think about trauma as a traumatic event, right? Like maybe a car accident or a fall or something like that. But trauma is something that your body can be exposed to on a daily basis as well, right? It could be
absolutely.
something, it could be like daily trauma, if whatever. I mean, if what's an example? Maybe if you work out really hard every day, right? I mean, that's putting your body through some type of trauma.
Right.
I was reading a little bit about it, and it mentioned even like vaccines, which I think is interesting given the fact that
it's been interesting.
Everybody's getting a vaccine right now, right? Because that's trauma on your body, right? You get the vaccine, you're exposed, you have to develop antibodies. So basically, my point of saying all that is that everybody is exposed to trauma.
Right. And it's really interesting because when we wind it back, trauma can start in utero.
Yeah.
Okay? So there's positional trauma where there's really not enough room for the baby, and they're torqued, they're tight. And then there's birth trauma. Okay. So lots of moms say, oh, no, the birth was fine, but we don't necessarily know what the journey of that baby was coming into the world. Okay.
Yeah.
So we see babies with 0 brain cycles. These are the babies that we see that they don't feed well, they don't latch well, colic, reflux, torticollis, tight babies. They're not happy. They don't sleep. They don't poop. All the things that a baby has a birthright to do. When we open these babies up, they respond beautifully, and we clear the slate of that trauma for them. If you do not do that, then you're going to pile on the falls, the surgeries, the accidents, the emotional traumas, everything else that causes stress to our bodies. And then we have, 50, 60-year-old people who they're a mess,
Yeah.
and we feel like the closer we can get to that trauma, the better. But, we can always start wherever someone is.
And so when someone comes in to see you for a session, I'm assuming it's a hands-on procedure where is right. And and are you touching certain points in the body?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When someone comes in for a session, the first thing I do is I listen to their story, and I want to understand what their issues are and what their journey has been that has brought them to me, and what it is that they would like to see out of their sessions. Although it doesn't really matter, because I'm going to feel into their body regardless of what their story is. And a lot of times I find things that they maybe haven't mentioned, and it's, that's always kind of interesting and fun. But the first thing I do is I feel for this brain cycle. Is their brain expanding, contracting? What does it feel like? I time it. I feel for the symmetry of it, the rhythm, the amplitude of it. And that tells me as a practitioner how much tightness there is. And then we go through our session. I'll come back and I'll check that. And typically we get that open and moving. In each session, we're unwinding, we're peeling away more. And the goal is to get them a big, beautiful brain cycle, which highly correlates with them feeling better. So, yeah.
That's amazing. So I'm curious, how do you feel for the brain cycle? Like where do you feel that?
Well, my hands just they land on the head very gently. Yeah. And it's like a balloon. You feel a balloon like filling up with air, letting air out. And this is something that we teach in our classes. We teach people how to feel the brain cycle. That's and amazing. It's an invaluable tool as a practitioner. And even if you were a mom and, your kid fell, or the other thing they see so much is like the orthodontics that are going on and how that can shut down a kid's brain cycle. Now the kid is like, symptoms of maybe focus issues or learning or headaches or depression, anxiety ramp up, and no one is equating there's been trauma done from just getting braces. So to be able to just understand that and possibly get your kid the help, through those treatments has made a big difference for a lot of kids too.
Oh, I bet. And that's really incredible because, I don't think we ever think about putting braces on our kids as a traumatic event, but to the body, it can be, right? Yeah.
And that piece right there has led us down this amazing rabbit hole into the world of holistic and integrative dentistry. We've attracted a lot of dental professionals to our class because they recognize the fascial component that's involved with dentistry and particularly orthodontia. The importance of building a healthy airway. Okay, we all need to breathe. And a lot of times the obstructed airways that are developing over our lifetime are rooted in infancy. If the tongue isn't postured correctly, if there's a lot of tight fascia in the mouth where the tongue can't rest on the roof of the mouth, the palate can't be formed nice and wide. So that can lead to issues where you have a high palate that presses up into your sinus cavity, allergies, breathing issues, mouth breathing. Yeah. When we mouth breathe, we are not getting the proper amount and the proper quality of air. So that's just a whole nother piece of our health that no one is talking about. So when we see adults who are exhausted, adults who have metabolic issues, gut issues, headaches, kids with ADHD, that's how it shows up for a kid. They are not getting the proper amount of oxygen as they sleep through the night because they're breathing through their mouth and they're wired and they can't focus. And it's such an easy thing, but it's just not talked about. So yeah, absolutely. We also, we will delve into that. So I feel like I have so much information for parents, for new parents. And the thing I hear all the time is, why don't we know about this?
Yeah.
So that's part of what I'm very passionate about, is getting this information out there so that parents can at least observe and see, does my kid need some help? And there are changes that we can do very early on and change the trajectory of your child's life.
Yeah, that's, as you're talking about this, that was literally going to be my next question, because like you said, why is it not out there? I mean, I think that CFT is such a new therapy, right? I mean, it's obviously it was developed in the 70s, but it's still a very new therapy that
it's a hidden gem.
it's a
It
hidden
really,
gem.
yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I mean, even just like something like acupuncture, which is again a natural healing modality, right, has become more and more mainstream, I would say. And this is something that, again, it's a natural healing modality. And, let's hope in 10 years from now, it's more mainstream and it's something
Right.
that more and more people will take advantage of. But it's just something that it's crazy that it just sounds like it's so successful. So let me ask you about that. So with your patients that come, with whatever symptoms it is that they're feeling, do you know like the percentage of patients that I don't want to say are cured, but that feel better from this therapy?
Oh, it's high. I mean, I'd say I'm going to say it's up in the 80%,
Yeah.
that there's some benefit. And
Yeah.
it may not be what they came in with, but there may be some other benefit that comes from it, just from opening up the whole system. So I see, as far as like the type of conditions that I see,
Yeah. Let's talk about
I
that.
see a lot of concussions.
Okay.
Right. These are people these are kids who cannot go back to school. They've just had to check out of life. They go doctor to doctor, specialists all over. And it's like they come in and they're zero brain cycle. And we open them up, and over a few sessions, their healing can start to jumpstart. And it's amazing. It should be part of every concussion protocol.
Yeah.
Migraines and headaches. People have had migraines for years and they resolve, and headaches for years and they resolve. So they're the two big ones that I see. I do a lot of the newborn work. So babies who are not breastfeeding well. I mean, that is like just crazy, the amount of misinformation that is out there. And there's the lactation consultant world and the pediatricians, and they all need to understand this work because they're missing a lot. And so that's another thing. Now you help one mom with their baby, they're in a community where they're going to tell another mom, and then it's like you've got an influx of these babies. But that's how the word spreads. If you're on the soccer field and your kid had a concussion and mom next to you is telling you about her kid that had a concussion, you're going to share that. And so
Absolutely,
over the last 10 years, my practice is built only on referral. I've never had to look for any kind of business or clients, because it just builds on referral, because the work works. And that's how I know it works. When you start as a practitioner, and I tell all the students this, you're going to have self-doubt. You're going to think, I can't do this. I'm not feeling it. The voice in your head. And then little by little, you start collecting these success stories over and over. And then someday you wake up and you go, I got this. This works,
I love that. Yes, I love that piece to it as well, because I know, we talk about that on the podcast all the time about the little voice in your head and not believing in yourself or believing in what you're doing and if it matters or not. So you have to just keep pushing through that voice and absolutely. And I also love that, it's all referral, so far your practice is referral based, because I think that's a testament to suburban warriors supporting suburban warriors, right? That's what we do. We empower each other and support each other. And when we find something that works and we find something that healed our kids or worked for us, we're always willing to share it with others, because that's just what we do. And so, that I think that's really a true testament to your practice and to this, healing modality, and to how it works when you start getting all the referrals. So, okay. So you did mention that, like, in a few sessions that people start to feel better. When you see a patient, how long do you normally treat them?
Mm-hmm. So that's a great question, and everyone will ask it. And the answer is always, it depends on the person.
Okay.
What I like to do is, if someone comes in with something chronic that they want to work on, I try to see them at least once a week. If it's a concussion, I may try to get them in within the week. And then we might go a week, maybe then we go 2 weeks, then we go 3 weeks, then we're a month. And so if they're feeling better, we keep spreading things out. And, sometimes I don't see people anymore because the stiff neck or the whatever it was that they came in has resolved. Okay. I have people who will come to me monthly because it's just, I'm on their team at this point to help them be and feel their best. And then I'll have people that will come back, something's happened, or a kid fell, or there was an accident or something, or they just feel off for some reason. And they do a little checkup with me, a little tune up. So it's not a forever therapy. So that if we can get your issues resolved, then you're good. Your cycle should stay open. And
That's awesome.
that I love.
That's amazing.
It's a tough business model because you
But listen, but like you said, it's a tough business model because you lose some of your patients or most of them. But like you said, everyone with a brain probably should at some point get some CFT. So what was it about CFT that you decided, okay, I need to practice this, or why are you so passionate about this specific healing modality? Was there something that,
well,
sparked your
funny.
interest?
So many people have this great story about like their own healing and they just,
right.
I don't have that. I mean, I don't. So I was like motoring along healthy. I was a stay-at-home mom. At the time I had 3 kids and a friend. I was at a sporting event. We're sitting on the field somewhere and this friend of mine says, we're watching her kid and she said, you have to go learn this thing. My son went to Dr. Barry Gillespie and he was cured of asthma, learning issues, behavioral issues. The teachers even called, they couldn't believe the difference. And this kid is actually years later, he got a scholarship to college for athletics. But so she told me about this and she said, I went and I took this class. You should go take this class. And I was like, I don't know why she's saying this because I had no background in medicine or PT or anything. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I had a business degree background, but she knew that I was interested in health and wellness.
Yeah.
And there was something she saw in me and I'm forever grateful to her. So I thought, well, I'll go do this thing. I'll work on my kids or my family. And I took this class in 2008. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I love this. I loved the people in the class. I loved the work. I was so excited. I came home, I bought a table on Craigslist for $100. And I just started telling my family and my friends, and I started working on people and they started getting results. So then they started telling people and that's how it built just, out of my home. I still work out of my home, which I love. And at one point I did a little bit of work. There was a naturopath out in Lancaster who had heard about CFT and he wanted to do it for his healing center. I would put my kids on the bus. I would drive out there for one session sometimes. It was like an hour to get out there. But I knew I needed to practice and I needed to learn. And I was working with the Amish and the Mennonites, still working at home. And then eventually my practice at home started to build up. Dr. Gillespie and I became very good friends. He's still, just a treasured mentor in my life. And he asked me to come help him teach. So I would be one of the instructors on the floor helping him. And around 2014, I got him on Facebook eventually. And so we started to get these requests from around the world to come teach. And he was in his late 60s at that time. He just wasn't interested in going to South Africa or the UK. And so I said to him, his passion is to get the work out. If you don't want to do it, I'll do it. So I joined with a dear friend and colleague of mine, Holly Steflick. She's in North Carolina. And we put together a class and we went to South Africa and we went to the UK and we've taught throughout the US since 2015. And it is just so awesome because I'm able to teach. If I can teach you how to do this and then you can go work on people, it's exponential, the reward and the benefit that happens from teaching. So the beauty of the teaching is we can teach everyone, like you said in the intro, from a parent of a brain injured child who needs this work consistently to orthodontists and chiropractors and doctors. And they're all in the same class because we teach this very right brain experiential hands-on. We teach you how to feel the fascia. We get into a little bit of the anatomy and the technical piece of it, but not enough that someone feels lost or overwhelmed. So that's a really, really extraordinary part of my journey is the teaching.
It really is. And what a gift, because you were trained by Dr. Barry Gillespie, who basically is the founder of this modality. And of course, it's really cool because it is right in our backyard where we are locally. And I know you work out of your home. if there is someone listening that is not local to, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area, how would they find a CFT practitioner?
They can go on, there's a Facebook page, which is the Gillespie approach. And they can go on there and they can say, hey, is there anyone in, Columbus, Ohio, or wherever it is that they live? And then practitioners will chime in from that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's probably the best way to find a practitioner.
And the website is also, it's the Gillespie approach as well, correct?
That's Dr. Gillespie's website.
Okay.
My website is kimsherlock.com, which is probably the easiest to remember. From my website, you can link through to his, and you can also link through to craniosacral fascial therapy, which is if someone was interested in taking the class.
Okay. And just real quick, because I know in your bio, we talked about myofunctional therapy. Mm-hmm. How is that different?
So myofunctional therapy is actually a physical therapy for the mouth and the oral function.
Oh, okay.
So if we help release the fascia, now look, every tooth is bound by fascia, right? Mm-hmm. It has a memory to it. This is why kids get braces and then the teeth move back.
Right. Because gotta wear that retainer.
Yeah. So we can do the structural release of the fascia. However, if you still have the same pattern of habits of low tongue posture, of open mouth posture, of breathing through your mouth, we need to correct that. And that's where the myofunctional work comes in. So I'm trained as a myofunctional therapist, and we have a lot of myofunctional therapists who are taking our class now because they just, they go so beautifully together.
Absolutely. It's really just sounds like such an amazing therapy and modality to try, because it's like you said, people are coming to you as a last ditch effort, but it sounds like something that should be in the beginning.
Yeah. And right. There is. Sometimes I will say, I have found a switch over the years where people want to try an alternative approach first before they have to go down the medical route. And so that's been really refreshing to see that. The other thing is, as far as the baby work, I really feel that if parents got on that early, see, the problem in communicating all of this is that you cannot feel or see prevention, right? So if you come to me and you have a problem and we resolve the problem, that's fantastic.
Right.
If you see a baby and they're not showing anything yet, it's kind of hard for someone to understand that.
Yep.
Unless they've experienced CFT for themselves, and then they are calling me within days of their baby, and they're, we're on it.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. That's why I feel like you said, it's like almost everyone with a brain could at least, come to you or another practitioner to just be evaluated. Right. Because it sounds like you said, you can feel this opening, and if it's completely closed and
the other thing, Crissy, is some people, so if you're born into this world with a zero brain cycle and nothing ever gets done about it, you adapt to that.
Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes people don't know how good they can feel until they experience their whole system being open and flowing. And, a lot of times people can't even quite name it, but they'll say, I feel more grounded. I feel more peaceful. I can handle stress. Because the other big piece of this is the nervous system, addressing the nervous system.
Yeah.
Right. So if we are in a fight or flight, if we are in the sympathetic mode, we are in the freeze mode of the nervous system, we can't heal and we can't thrive. So this work helps calm the nervous system. It works with the vagus nerve and a better regulatory nervous system so that they can move through all the phases of it in a healthy way.
That's incredible. I know. Sign me up. I want to open it up.
Yeah.
I want to feel better. Yeah. There's always something for all of us. So listen, I think that the work that you're doing is absolutely amazing. I love hearing about, all natural healing modalities. And this one just is so interesting. And I think that you're doing such amazing work. So I want to thank you very much for the work that you do and for sharing it on this podcast, because again, I think that CFT is such a new modality that not many people know about it. So I know I found this so interesting and so helpful. And I want to thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you, Crissy. I appreciate you helping me get the word out. And the beauty of a natural modality is there are no side effects. There's no danger. It's the worst that can happen is nothing. And why wouldn't you try that before you go the route of medicine with side effects or surgery? And sometimes there is heroic medicine. I have experienced that myself. But as a first step, why not try something a little bit more natural?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It cannot hurt. And it sounds like it has helped so many people. And I think that in the years to come, it's going to help many, many more.
Yeah. Thank you, Crissy. I appreciate it. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Yeah, me too. I'm coming. I'm coming to see you.
All right.
So guys, if you want to check out more about CFT, you can go to Kim's website at kimsherlock.com. And you certainly can find us you can follow me on Instagram at Suburban Warrior. And Kim, are you on Instagram?
I am. I am there as CFT Global Team.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
So you could go there. We are, so my Holly, my teaching colleague, we haven't quite gotten the whole Instagram thing down. It's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time, and it sounds like you're a little bit busy healing people.
We have that, or we have a little bit up there. So yes, so come find us there. Maybe you'll motivate us to get some more up there. But the website has a lot of good information. If you want to read through, you can link through to the other websites. And I'm always happy if someone wants to shoot me an email. Connect through my website. I will spend some time with you and discuss what's going on for you and how I may think CFT could help.
Okay, that sounds amazing. Well, thank you so much, Kim, for sharing all of your expertise with us. And guys, thank you so much for joining this week on Suburban Warrior. Be sure to drop a comment, ask a question, and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts. We will see you again next week with another amazing Suburban Warrior story.